Issues related to race and racism can take many forms. We talked about bias in the previous lesson. We can think of racial bias as people's negative beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors about people of color. That is, people who are Black, Asian, Hispanic or Latino, Native American, or a member of another underrepresented racial group. Racial stereotypes are a form of bias. They reflect people's negative beliefs about people of color. For example, some people think Black players are naturally athletic, but also believe they are dumb jocks. This stereotype is harmful for 4 reasons. First, saying that someone is naturally athletic overlooks the hard work and training they put in to be as good as they are. Second, even though there are many athletic Black people, not all Black people excel in sports. Third, the dumb jock belief ignores the high grades and achievements of many Black athletes. Lastly, it promotes the belief that athletes cannot be smart, which hurts everyone. Racial prejudice is the second form of bias. This represents people's negative attitudes toward people of color. Racial prejudice might be blatant. Think back to our example in the beginning of this module. Because Lyle Thompson was Native American, he was subjected to bias and negative commentary from the announcer and fans in the audience. Our examples so far have focused on how people express racial bias. Racism is also present at a societal level. We call this systemic racism. Systemic racism has allowed for systems and structures to historically disadvantage people of color. It reflects the policies, structures, and laws in place that create recurrent racial disparities. These represent just 2 of the many outcomes of systemic racism. Focusing on people's beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors are important, as these are all parts of people's bias. But a focus on systemic racism also shows that we need to focus on our communities and broader structures. We might look at the culture of lacrosse in our area. Do the policies, ways we organize things, costs, and communications reflect diversity, equity, and inclusion? Or do they suggest that one race is better suited for lacrosse than others? These can be tough questions. The conversations are needed, though. As part of any person's anti-racism commitment, everyone must identify and challenge racism and its impact on your team and the broader lacrosse community. You also need to understand and correct any racial and ethnic biases or inequities within your teams, and strive to provide ongoing education and training opportunities rooted in inclusion.